Hello students, today in the chapter Application of Derivatives, we will be discussing about the maxima and minima and what are the things to be discussed in this subchapter maxima and minima. So we will be discussing about the definition of maxima and minima, then graphical representation of maxima and minima, test for local maxima and local minima like first derivative test, second derivative test, and also we will be discussing about how to find the absolute maxima and absolute minima of a given function, and finally we will be solving some of the problems on maxima and minima. And after the completion of this lesson, so we will be able to calculate the maximum and the minimum value of a function in a given domain. That means you can find the turning points of the graph of a function at which the graph reaches its highest or lowest. And you will be able to use this concept to get the points for sketching the graph of a given function, and also apply the test to find the absolute maxima and absolute minima. And finally, you will be able to solve some of the application problems on maxima and minima. So before we proceed to this topic, what we have learned prior to this. So you know the various rules of differentiation like sum rule, difference rule, product rule, quotient rule, and chain rule. Also, you are capable of differentiating different functions, and also you know the concept of increasing and decreasing functions, which will be used for explaining the concept of maxima and minima. Now coming to the definition, let f be a function defined on an open interval I. Then the function f is said to have a maximum value in the said interval I if there exists a point C in the interval I such that f of C means functional value at C is greater than equal to f of x for all x belonging to I. So in this case, the number fc is called the maximum value of f in I, and the point C is called a point of maximum value of f in the interval I. Similarly, f is said to have a minimum value in I if there exists a point C in the interval I such that f of C is less than or equal to fx for all x belonging to I. Now mark the difference. If f of C is greater than equal to f of x for all x in that interval, then we say fc is the maximum value, and if it is less than equal to fx, then fc is called the minimum value. Now this function f is said to have an extreme value in the interval I if there exists a point C such that fc is either attains maximum value or attains the minimum value. In this case, we call it the extreme value. We call it the extreme value of f. One more definition. Let f be a real valued function, and this definition is in terms of the neighborhood of a point. Now say f be a real valued function, and let C be any interior point in the domain of f. Now consider the close neighborhood of C. So we say C minus h and C plus h, where h is as small as possible but is a positive quantity. Now C is called a point of local maxima if f of C is greater than equal to f of x for all values of x lying in the interval C minus h to C plus h. Similarly, fc is said to have the local minimum if f of c is less than equal to fx, again for all values of x in the interval c minus h to c plus h. Now the value fc is called the local minimum value if f of c is less than or equal to f of x. Now we have a theorem relating to this maxima and minima. Let f be a function defined on an interval I, and suppose C be any interior point in I, and if f has a local maxima or local minima at x is equal to c, then either the derivative of the function will vanish at c, or the function f is not differentiable at x is equal to c. So that means a function will be attaining either a maximum value or a minimum value at point c if the derivative of the function vanishes at x is equal to c, or even we can say it is not differentiable at x is equal to c. Now coming to some of the definitions like turning points. What do you mean by these turning points? The points at which a function changes its nature from decreasing to increasing or vice versa. That means either it changes its nature from decreasing to increasing or from increasing to decreasing. So those points are called the turning points. That means the curve takes a turn at those points. And every continuous function on a closed interval has a maximum and a minimum value. Let f be a function defined on an open interval I. Let c belongs to I be any point. If f has a local maxima or a local minima at x is equal to c, then either f dash is 0 or f is not differentiable at c, which we have already discussed it. And critical point. What do you mean by the critical point? A point c in the domain of a function f at which either f dash is 0 or f is not differentiable is called a critical point. So this critical point will be used for finding the maximum or minimum value of a function. So a function can have one critical point or more than one critical point depending upon the degree of the function. Now we have some of the tests to find the maximum or minimum value of a function in a given interval I. So first of all we have the first derivative test. We say a function the derivative of the function becomes 0 at the critical points. That means we are given the function, we find the derivative of the function, equate them to 0 and we get the critical points like say c1, c2, c3, c4 etc. These are the critical points because at these points at c1, c2, c3 and c4 the tangent is parallel to x-axis. That means the slope of tangent is 0. That means the derivative of the function vanishes. So these are the critical points. Now the question comes, what will be the nature of the function, or whether it will attain maximum or minimum value at c1, c2, c3 or c4. So in first derivative test we have to take the points one by one and test whether the function is maximum or minimum or even it is a point of inflection. So in this first derivative test we take a point, suppose we take point c1, we take a point to the left of c1 and a point to the right of c1 again in the closed neighborhood. If the derivative of the function changes sign from negative to positive as we proceed from left to right through c1, then we say x is equal to c1 is a point of local minima. And if it changes sign from positive to negative again in the closed neighborhood of c1 as we proceed from left to right, then c1 will be called the point of local maxima. And if suppose the function the derivative of the function does not change sign, then we say point C is the point of inflection. So that means after equating the derivative of the function to 0, we get the critical points. So at these critical points, the function will be either maximum or minimum, or these points will be the points of inflection. Now here in this diagram we find that to the left of C1, f dash x is greater than 0, and to the right it is less than 0. That means the function is changing its sign, means the derivative of the function is changing its sign from positive to negative as we proceed from left to right through C1. So we can say point C1 is the point of local maxima. Similarly, we can say find whether the function is having local maxima or local minima. And if we consider this point C4, we say the first derivative does not change sign. That means there is a steep rise in the function. So there is no change in the first derivative of the function at C4 or in the close neighborhood of C4. So this point is called the point of inflection. So these things which we have already discussed. If f dash x does not change sign as x increases through C, then C is neither a point of local maxima nor a point of local minima. Such a point is called point of inflection, as it is shown in the figure, and also in the previous figure we find that this is a point of inflection. Now we have one more test to find the local maxima or local minima. That is our second derivative test. So the theorem says, let f be a function defined on an interval I and C belongs to I, and let f be a twice differentiable function at x is equal to C. Then, as you have already discussed, that the necessary condition for a function to attain maximum or minimum value is that the first derivative must be 0. So after finding the first derivative and equating to 0, we get the critical points. Now we put the critical points one by one in the second derivative. The points for which the second derivative is less than 0 are called the points of local maxima, and the points for which the second derivative is greater than 0 are the points of local minima. And suppose the second derivative also vanishes for some points out of those critical points, then those points will be the point of inflection. Now we have absolute maxima and absolute minima. Let f be a continuous function on an interval ab. Then f has the absolute maximum value and f attains it at least once. Similarly, the function also attains the absolute minimum value exactly once in a given interval. Let f be a differentiable function in a closed interval I, and let C be any interior point. Then f dash C is equal to 0. This is the necessary condition. So the function will be attaining either the maximum value or the minimum value. That means if at point C the function attains either the maximum value or minimum value, then the derivative of the function has to be 0. Now what is the working rule to find the absolute maxima and absolute minima of a given function? So the first step is find all critical points of f in the interval. That means we equate the derivative of the function to 0, find the possible value or values of x, and those values are called the critical points. Also we take the end points of the interval. Now identify the maximum and minimum value of f out of the values calculated here. So that means after equating f dash x to 0, suppose we find x is equal to x1, x2 and x3, and our end points are a and b. Then we find the functional value of f at A, at B, and also at the critical points x1, x2, x3, and identify for which value of x f is attaining the maximum value and for which value it is attaining the minimum value, and accordingly we say that the absolute maximum and absolute minimum value. Now we'll solve one problem. So find both the maximum and the minimum value of the given function 3x to the power 4 minus 8x cube plus 12x square minus 48x plus 25 in the closed interval 0 to 3. So, as per our procedure of finding the absolute maxima or minima, first of all we find the derivative of the function and equate it to 0. So here fx is given 3x to the power 4 minus 8x cube plus 12x square minus 48x plus 25. So differentiating we get f dash x becomes 12x cube minus 24x square plus 24x minus 48, and taking 12 common we will be left with x cube minus 2x square plus 2x minus 4, and which on simplification becomes 12 into x square plus 2 into x minus 2. This is the derivative, first derivative of the function, and this first derivative has to be equated to 0. So when we equate f dash x to 0, that means 12 into x square plus 2 into x minus 2 is 0. Now 12 is a non-zero quantity. Similarly, x square plus 2 is always greater than equal to 2 for all values of x belonging to the set of real numbers. So this cannot be 0, and this 12 also cannot be 0. So the only alternative is x minus 2 is 0, and thereby we are getting x is equal to 2, and which is obviously belonging to the interval 0 to 3. Now we find the value of the function at the extreme points, that means at x is equal to 0, x is equal to 3, and also at x is equal to 2. So now here we find f of 0, in place of x we put 0 and we get it 25. Then we find f of 2, we are getting minus 39. Then we find f of 3, and this becomes your 16. So here we find that the function is taking at x is equal to 0, it is taking the maximum value 25. Out of these three values, 25, minus 39 and 16. So the absolute maximum value is 25, and x is equal to 0 is the point of absolute maxima. Similarly, minus 39 is the absolute minimum value, and it is attained at x is equal to 2. So we can say x is equal to 2 is the absolute minima, and the absolute minimum value is minus 39. Now we will solve one more problem based on trigonometric functions. Now let us say the function is x plus sine 2x and the interval is 0 to 2 pi. So again the same procedure, we find the derivative of the function. So derivative of first derivative becomes derivative of x is 1, and derivative of sine 2x becomes 2 cos 2x, and as usual this is equated to 0. So we are getting 1 plus 2 cos 2x is equal to 0. So cos 2x is minus 1 by 2. So cos 2x is minus 1 by 2 means it is cos of 2 pi by 3. So we know the theorem, general solution for the trigonometric equations. Cos 2 alpha is equal to cos 2 pi by 3. That means cos x is equal to cos y, and we know x is equal to 2n pi plus minus y for all n belonging to the set of integers. Now here we find that cos 2x is equal to cos 2 pi by 3. By applying the general solution formula, 2x becomes 2n pi plus minus 2 pi by 3. And on simplification we get x is equal to pi by 3, 2 pi by 3, 4 pi by 3, and 5 pi by 3, and all there could be another infinite number of values, but only these values belong to the closed interval 0 to pi by 2. So now we find the value of the function at pi by 3, 2 pi by 3, 4 pi by 3, 5 pi by 3, and also at the end points 0 and 2 pi. And accordingly we find f of pi by 3 becomes pi by 3 plus root 3 by 2. F of 2 pi by 3 becomes pi by 3 minus root 3 by 2. F of 4 pi by 3 becomes 4 pi by 3 plus root 3 by 2. And f of 5 pi by 3 becomes 5 pi by 3 minus root 3 by 2. And f of 0 is 0, f of 2 pi is 2 pi. So we found the value of this function at these points, at these critical points, and also at the end points. And here we can conclude that the absolute maximum value of fx in the interval 0 to 2 pi is 2 pi, means out of these values occurring at x is equal to 2 pi. So out of these many values, this 2 pi is the maximum. And also the absolute minimum value of fx in the interval 0 to 2 pi is 0, which is occurring at x is equal to 0. So x is equal to 0 is the absolute minima, and 0 is the absolute minimum value, and x is equal to 2 pi is the absolute maxima, and 2 pi is the absolute maximum value. Now one more question. Find the maximum and minimum value without using derivative test. We have discussed about the first derivative test and the second derivative test. Sometimes it may so happen that we can find the maximum or minimum value of a function just simply by applying our common sense, means without using the derivative test. Now here we are given the function fx is equal to 4x square minus 4x plus 4. On simplification, this is 4x square minus 4x plus 1 plus 3. That means I break this 4 as 1 plus 3 to convert it into a perfect square. So now it is in the form of a square minus 2ab plus b square, which is equal to a minus b whole square. Now plus 3 remains as it is. And as you know, this 2x minus 1 whole square is a perfect square, so it is always greater than equal to 0, so that we can say fx is always greater than equal to 0 plus 3. That means it is greater than or equal to 3. So that means the minimum value of fx is 3, and this minimum value occurs only when this quantity 2x minus 1 whole square is 0, that is x is equal to 1 by 2. That means we can conclude that x is equal to 1 by 2 is the absolute minima, and fx is equal to 3 is the minimum value of the function. Similarly, one more question on algebraic functions. We are given fx is equal to minus of x minus 1 whole square plus 2. And this function fx is equal to minus of x minus 1 whole square plus 2. It is, we know this x minus 1 whole square, since it is a perfect square, it is greater than equal to 0. So minus of this is less than equal to 0. And adding 2, we will be getting this is less than equal to 2. So that means this function fx can take the value less than or equal to 2 for all values of x belonging to R. So that means the maximum value of the function is 2, and that maximum value is attained when this x minus 1 whole square is 0. That means x minus 1 is 0. So x is equal to 1. So x is equal to 1 is the maxima, and the maximum value is 2. Similarly, maximum value of fx is 2. Hence function f does not have a minimum value, because we can say this quantity minus of x minus 1 whole square, it approaches to minus infinity. For infinitely large values of x, this quantity approaches to minus infinity. So this sum approaches to minus infinity. That means we cannot have any specific minimum value of the function, but we do find the maximum value of the function. Now some of the questions are given you as homework. So please try to solve these questions. Any doubt, we will get it clarified in the next class. Thank you, children.